I just wanted to change it. It felt like, how do we really bring a profound and meaningful story? Something that makes you feel, not just fun and fantasy, because there's always that darkness when it comes to fantasy as well. And this is where this new concept, the Hourglass, comes in. When it's basically deconstructing the human conditioning into a dining experience. So it's pretty quirky. We're working with neuroscientists, food scientists, and incredible superhumans. And it's a very, I created Euphoria to sort of showcase everyone's talents.
Welcome to the podcast. Today we have Lara Norman. Lara is a Spanish chef. She grew up in Ibiza and she is now running her own concept called Euphoria. So Euphoria is a bit of a theatrical experience where she likes to play with senses, emotion, and also food, like incredible food. She was featured on a Netflix TV show Five-Star Chef, where she was cooking under the pressure of chef Michelin Jr. She is an incredible, talented young lady, and I think you're going to love this conversation. So let's go into the episode. Lara Norman, thank you so much for being here. How are you today?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, very good. I'm glad we finally made it. It took us 3-4 times, but we're here now. So
This is what happens when you have two chefs with virtual, virtual.
yeah, especially a
Yeah.
lot of travel. I think on your side, no?
Yeah, there's a lot of moving around, but very
Yeah,
grateful. With our jobs, we
awesome.
get to see the world. How can we complain?
Yeah, no, we can't. We can't. We should always be grateful. That's
Absolutely.
awesome. Lara, I know you a little bit from what you've done and from your online presence, but can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Where did you grow up? How did you start as a chef? Just a
I'm in
basic,
the having
basically.
this podcast. Well, I grew up in Spain, in Ibiza, but half of my family English. But yeah, so a bit of a Spanglish family. Always knew that my love is cooking. I mean, since I was a toddler, me and my mum in Ibiza and nature, we used to go foraging and just found it very mesmerizing, getting something from the ground and then creating a beautiful plate. There's something very therapeutic about it. So my mom used to give me the freedom to just put me in the kitchen as a toddler, get messy. I think it's so important as a kid, when you're growing up, to get creative and
Yeah.
just have a bit of freedom to explore ingredients. And since then, luckily, I always knew that that will be my path.
Okay. Okay. So when did you start cooking professionally?
So professionally, when I was 14, it was my first job, very cash in hand, Persian restaurant. And yeah, never actually could afford. My dream was always to go to Cordon Bleu to do my
Yeah.
culinary cooking. So I could never afford that. But again, I started working in kitchens, and I think once you go into a service, that's how you learn. So be
So
very
you grew up in Ibiza, right?
in Ibiza.
In Ibiza, Ibiza, like the Brits would say.
So it was Ibiza until I was about 9, and then I went to Galicia in north
Yeah.
of Spain. That
Yeah.
was
I
another
know.
part
I
of
know
my
very
family.
well.
Beautiful food, beautiful food. So I was very spoiled with ingredients, from Mother
Yeah.
Nature. And since then, I always knew that, yeah, this is what I wanted to do.
Okay. And when did you move out of Spain? When did you work? You worked in London as well, right?
Yes, so I'm still in London.
Yeah.
but,
Yeah. True.
but yeah, so when I was about, I think it was 12, because my parents were separated. So my brother and my dad went to England, and me and my mum stayed in Spain, and that's when we went to north of Spain. So we kind of went to England. I wanted to reconnect with that side of the family. And yeah, just started working in kitchens, very modest places. Started in Brighton. Don't know if you know.
Hmm.
But loads of sort of restaurants, bakeries, gelato shops. And then I thought, I want to try London, give that a go. And it was very unexpected. I actually I sent a message to Nigel Howard, which is a Michelin-starred chef, which I'm thankful for my whole career really to him, because I sent him a message. I wanted to work in his restaurant, which is Northcote. And we sort of jumped on a call. He said, well, I recommend looking at your CV, have you ever thought of London? Like, you could come here, but it would be literally in the middle of nowhere. How about London? And London is one place I always say, I'll never go live in London. I'll never go work there. And anyway, he said, let me make a few calls. And he made a few calls, called me back. And he just spoken to his good friend called John Williams from the Ritz. So yeah, he got me an interview the next day, not knowing what was going to happen. Took my luggage and yeah, went straight to the Ritz. Had a beautiful interview and started working there. And that was my first Michelin venture.
Amazing, amazing. The Ritz as well is such a starship restaurant. It's a flagship restaurant. Sorry,
It's incredible. And I mean, what John Williams does with the brigade, it's if you want to learn from really the roots, it's the Ritz. I'm so happy for them. Congratulations, they got 2 star. About time.
yeah, amazing, amazing. So how long did you work there for?
So I was only there for about 2 years. I like changing. I like changing a bit of everything, absorbing
Well,
like
Lara, you say only 2 years. It's a long time. I don't know if you've seen the chefs out there. A chef career is full of little jumps,
yeah,
left and right.
I did
So
this
2 years is a good time.
It was incredible though. So I did a few sections. Well, really learned really the structure of organization in the kitchen was a bar section. It's a section that no chefs wanted to do. It was all sort of the room service, the bar. So it wasn't as the finesse that you get in the restaurant, but the structure. You're really in charge of your own section, and I was very grateful to be there. And then from that, I went to Hyde by Oli de Boo, so around the corner, and I was there again for another year and a half, 2 years. And after that, my third Michelin venture was Bibendum to Michelin-starred by Claude
Yep.
Bessy, where you really learn the power of silence.
You mentioned something on the form that I sent you before we did the podcast. Something about the advice you would give to young chefs. Can you repeat what that is? Because there is part of it which is silence.
It's silence, and it's also, again, don't take things to heart. As I think all chefs were very passionate, and when with that it comes a lot of emotions, and we really feel. So that, when things it gets under pressure, I always say it's like a dominoes effect. You need to remember a lot of the old school chefs as well. They've been trained like that. It's like having
Yeah.
parents, So it's not really the fault. It's nothing personal. And that's what I sort of recommend to all the chefs to remember that service. I kind of see it like a video game. Kind of go, you're in this together.
So
But for
who's the
me,
boss in that video game?
for me, I never liked hierarchies. It's good to look up to a leader, but there's a different thing between boss and a leader. Whoever's a leader, for me, hierarchies, we're in this together. We got one mission. We got on the quest, and we make it happen. And this is one thing I never really liked about hierarchies is the egos that comes from it. And I love discipline, but when it crosses the line and to disrespect. So that's what is great that the new generation are coming in. The industry is changing a little bit too much sometimes. People do need to understand that there is sacrifices when it comes to working in a kitchen.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. So after Claude Bossy, where did you go?
So after Club C was a lockdown. So we were still, it was COVID time. We were still working. We were sort of doing takeaways. We were working from two restaurants doing both
Yeah,
takeaways. And again, we had a bit of time off as well. And chefs are not good with time off. We go into inner thoughts. But that sort of gave me the first chance to reset and realize it felt like something was missing for me working all these Michelin stars. I love doing the production side of it. But again, when it comes to hierarchy, if you're not sous chef or head chef, you can't get creative. And for me, it felt really
100%.
robotic. It was just this everyday different thing. You excel in the egg components, but it was missing that spark for me. So I just remembered, sort of got my friends together, wanted to do a little video. This is how Euphoria the evolution started. We didn't know what Euphoria was. I just had an idea. I wanted to do some playful food, some
For,
lighting.
for for those that don't know what Euphoria is, it's your business, it's your idea, right? It's your concept.
Is my
So we
baby.
can get to that, but let's talk about how it started then.
Yeah, so we got a little video together, and from there I thought, okay, I want to get, maybe for this experience we should do a supper club. And this is after the COVID. Now rules sort of developed. I left Michelin stars, and I decided to do this supper club. And then I said, I want a bit of performance, because my great grandma was an acrobat from the circus, so I always loved
Okay,
playing.
okay, that explains a lot. That was one of my questions as well.
Yeah. Where did it come from? So I
Yeah,
was always obsessed with Cirque du Soleil. I remember as a kid watching the shows, and that would mesmerize me. And I thought, how can we merge it with food? Because there's a lot of restaurants that you get theatre, you get food, but there's no
there's no
360
connection.
degrees. There's no connection. There's no layers. But when it first started, I remember doing a Facebook advert looking for contortionists, And from that, this contortionist knew another performer, another aerialist, another juggler, and it became kind of a culinary circus network. But yeah, from that, it's been evolving, developing, and yeah, we
What
got
was
some.
the original concept? So supper club with some artistic add-on.
I love
So,
that.
what was the first one? Because I'm sure what you do now is very pretty far from the first one.
Oh, it's changed. It's changed. The first one, we're kind of again trying to put myself in a big debt, not knowing what was going to happen. A creative as well, going into the world of business. So it's a lot of mistakes, a lot of uh, bit of wobbles along the way. But the first concept, it was kind of me trying to break down, like, right, what senses do we all have? We have a little bit of sensuality. So it was different sort of things within one experience, right? It was mainly to my ethos to release your inner child. So how to play with your food, something that I've always been told not to do. So how do we deconstruct that? So it was all very playful. You become in the kindergarten theme, and then you sort of do the next evolution when you're in the Mad Hatter Tea Party, and then all of a sudden you're in the circus. So it's all these chapters and sets sort of changing around you. However, from then I just wanted to change it. It felt like, how do we really bring a profound and meaningful story? Something that makes you feel, not just fun and fantasy, because there's always that darkness when it comes to fantasy as well. And this is where this new concept, the hourglass, comes in. When it's basically deconstructing the human conditioning into a dining experience. So it's pretty quirky. We're working with neuroscientists, food scientists, and incredible superhumans, and it's a very I created Euphoria to sort of showcase everyone's talents. It's a power of
Yeah.
collaboration. It's a
So sorry to interrupt. Euphoria is the concept. The Euphoria 2.0 is the hourglass, right?
bit.
Tell us what is Euphoria first of all, and then we get on to the second step.
So Euphoria, is a catering and bespoke events company, but every 2 months we were doing the immersive dining experiences, which was a different themes within a 4 hour experience, secret locations. The sort of experience will start before you even get to the experience. So as soon as you buy a ticket, there's already little games.
Clues and little games, yeah.
You get a golden ticket sent to your home and sort of revealing with a little gift, revealing where the location, the time was going to be. But with this new concept, it's really exciting because they have no idea what they're walking into. And I love sort of people unraveling the experience as they go.
Okay. Interesting. And this is based in Ibiza or is it in London?
In UK, we get private sort of events. We do private ones in Ibiza as well.
Okay. So you do the private events, high star catering and high end catering, and then you do this event once a month, right?
Every 2 months. So we were
Okay.
doing, because it's always been secret locations. Now we're looking for something more set. But what I love about doing different bespoke events, it's just always different, and you really delve deeper into the guest mind, that you really want to bring their vision to life. And, a lot of people can't envision it. So you have to tease them to envision it, if that makes sense.
Amazing. Lara, the way I found out about you is like probably few people is after the TV show or the cooking show.
Lobster bondage.
Was it with Michel Roux Jr.?
He was indeed. What a beautiful man. Really
Yeah,
is.
I worked with his uncle back in the
Really?
days.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, with Alain and Michel at
Oh,
the other
wow.
restaurant.
Good
So
mentor.
I'm a little bit connected to the family, a little bit, like not anymore, but I knew them, I knew of them.
He's got a great
So
heart.
tell us, how did this happen? Because you were on what was the name of the show?
5-star chef.
Five-star
Um,
chefs.
so it's a bit of a long story. How long do we have?
As long as you want, as long as
Yeah,
you need.
start fresh. Okay, so I've never been a competitive person. I've always hated to be. One of my fears has always been speaking, even doing podcast, or I've always been quite introvert, as you won't think. So I've got asked actually about twice to do MasterChef. But I remember one of the times I just thought I wasn't ready. I really was fearing to be in front of a camera. And the next time they asked me just when I was about to launch Euphoria. So I thought, MasterChef can wait, but not this one. Now, when 5-star Chef came around, it was the same year I was meant to do MasterChef, but I loved it because it was a different concept. It was somewhere not as robotic as MasterChef. It was creative, it was new. They sort of let you sort of showcase your concept.
Yeah.
However, when they reached out, I didn't want to do it. So I thought, oh, I'm not going to do it, but I'll send a few videos anyway just to promote the business, right? And then sort of made a few calls, and then it was a bit too late to back out after. So I threw myself in the deep end, and yeah, again, not never been competitive. So for me, it was more about showcasing Euphoria, giving a flavor. What are we, and what's our flavor, you know? Um, so
I
yeah,
can
very.
I can imagine. Yeah. Did you get a lot of business after this? A
I
lot
did
of recognition?
very
You probably
great.
still do, no?
And it was really interesting because when this came out, I knew it was going to turn a lot of heads. You know, people, again, I wasn't there to win. I was sort of to showcase what is my style. And when this came out in the UK, believe it or not, so much hate. It was on Sunday Times, on the Daily Mail.
It's
People,
too easy. Look, clickbait. It's just
yeah,
this is what sells. It's terrible, but
chef outstands viewers to put scorpion powder on a on a dish. But it was great that it started like that. Also showed me how smoke and mirrors it all was. Because when this came out on the other side of the world, then it was a completely different market. You know, when this came out globally and people sort of were more supportive, and young chefs sort of coming up and sending me images of them using stencils, plating with really quirky props. And that was the most incredible part of this show because it's inspiring the black sheep out there to really follow the vision, no matter how laughable that may be. Follow what your heart takes you. You know, if you really believe that mission, it will happen, and you will find the right people.
awesome. Do you think you'll do another show if they call you and they say, "Hey, Lara, do you want to come back?"
I
Or maybe it's already happened.
I want to manifest a show with Tim Burton. He will be the one, and
Okay.
yeah, I've got some cool ideas, and I'm also pitching a show where we're going to have documenting some a reality show, but a raw reality show where it shows all the mistakes, all the fuckers, everything that happens in the kitchen and not from just a hospitality point of view, but also the performance and what it takes to create something so special. And, you know,
You mean something based on your concept?
yeah,
Okay.
starting with that, and then of course we again we're all about collaborations. So if a chef comes in, we'll sort of take you into their world. So that's super exciting because I think people need to appreciate, you know, what goes on behind closed doors to create something so magical.
Yeah. And it's always very interesting to see exactly the mistakes and how once you pass the door, everything is perfect, everything is impeccable, and
Yeah,
but it's kind of from chaos to paradise. It's it's quite a funny environment.
yeah, chefs having a burnout because suppliers not delivering what they need.
And okay, and what about the hourglass then? Is this the private event? Is it just an evolution of Euphoria, or is this something you put on top of it as an extra, more advanced concept?
It's basically now our main concept. So it's something I've been so excited about. Been working on it for 2 years, and again, you can imagine. So before we're doing secret locations, it's fantastic for the client, but also for our logistics. You can imagine we're now ready
It's a
to have
nightmare,
one. Yeah.
right?
Bathrooms everywhere. Yeah, it's a giant
It
teapot.
sounds great on paper, but yeah, it sounds like a nightmare
Yeah,
because you
but
don't know what
behind
you're
the
gonna
scenes,
cook.
it's a bloody nightmare, especially when you work in places like churches and you have power cuts just 15
Yeah,
minutes before the guests get there. It's a true story. Um, but no, now we're looking for something more set. But again, Euphoria is not always going to be there. Euphoria is a bit, again, I love using the example Cirque du Soleil, you know, have different shows around the world. That's what we want to get. But something that teases you. And it's not,
yeah.
you know, catch you when you can. And that's a kind of style of Euphoria. But now we're looking for sort of a 9 month sort of pop up venue where, you know, instead of doing every 2 months, we do 3 events together because it's very exclusive. We like to have only 24 max in each
Yeah.
table. Now we're going to have that every weekend. And, you know, for people that maybe they can't afford it, we want to give an opportunity for everyone. So we're going to have the taste of Euphoria, which is more playful dishes in a restaurant setting throughout the week. And then there's some really exciting offerings that happen in the venue, a lot of collaborations, and it's creating a bit of a movement for, again, my people, the black sheep that never felt like they belong. These are the people I love in my team.
Okay, so not a restaurant,
I wouldn't call it as such.
but
Restaurant,
it's a more but it's a more consistent schedule than the event you were doing every 60 days.
exactly. And then we're doing a lot for the community on the Monday and Tuesday, and it's offering the creatives, you know, a space. And I think as a creative, I've looked at a lot of channels. There's no opportunities out there for people that want to have a project, or maybe they don't have the funds, but they need a space. And this is what my plan is with this hub. Is creating a mother hub for the people, and that's the movement of Euphoria. If you see the logo, it's all about movement and people, and it all comes together. So it's really exciting.
Do you know? I'm sure you know. I mean, being half Spanish, I'm sure you know. Do you know Albert Adria and the restaurant
Yeah,
tickets?
Adria. Yeah, I've not been to tickets yet,
I
but
have.
this
I
is a
have.
big. How
Many
many?
years ago, I was lucky to cook for him. Long story
Wow,
short, but I was hired by someone that was looking for someone to kind of check if the chef could cook, aka me. And I went into his kitchen and I spent 2 days with him. Not just with him, but I was
for
cooking
him
for him
house.
basically. So
Oh,
I am, yeah, amazing. His restaurants are amazing. But when you said, to awaken your inner child, and this is what you were doing, trying to do with Euphoria, this is pretty much what Ticket does or did.
I love
Um,
it. And we all have a kid inside who's waiting to come out. When I looked at even some three Michelin-star restaurants, I mean, there's a market for everything. But I saw it, and it's like I saw the dining lounge, and I felt, are people really having fun here, or do they need to be shown how to have fun?
I think, Lara, I think they get caught up in it. You start with having a nice restaurant, and then you start with having better wines, and then you have more waiters, and then you start putting tablecloth, and then you start, repainting and getting better tables, better chairs, and then next thing you know, you have 3 stars, and everyone is just so straight, and
Yeah,
the fun is gone. The
but
quality
you
is
can have
there, the
it.
consistency is there.
You can have fun.
You can have both, 100%. I agree.
Exactly. And it's
And
all,
yeah, no,
this.
that's
I like to call these the hourglass is a bit. I can't tell you too much because again, I like guests to come in, into a blank canvas. But it's a bit not just deconstructing the human conditioning, but you also get told no. Especially for these high-end clients, they never get told no. There's a lot of test around. There's a lot of sometimes you don't get a choice in life. So we have a
yeah.
lot of tests, and people don't know what they're coming into. And again, people have different brains, so everyone's going to have a complete different experience. That's where we got a philosopher's stone at the end of the experience, where we sort of break it down. It's a bit like activism through food, I like to call it.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
You must come for the launch.
Uh, I would like to try. When is it launching?
So hopefully September we get the right venue. But the venue we're looking for is churches and cathedrals. So it comes to a lot of regulations when it comes to that, but it'll be worth the wait.
Okay. Do you have? Are you going to have one venue, or are you going to have multiple venues?
One venue to start with. But again, I see it a little bit. Next one we want to open in Asia, one in Shanghai, one in Bangkok, and just slowly tease.
Okay. Okay. So that leads me to my next questions. Where do you see Euphoria or the Hourglass in the next 5 years? What's your dream with this?
My dream mainly, I think, like I said, the success, I want it to come from the movement, from the messages that we're trying to deliver from with the experience itself, not just the food. And again, it's hard, it's great to have a vision, it's great to have goals, but I love to also, go with the flow, because life is so written, you never know where it's going to take you. For me, my whole career, it's always been about, metaphorically, it's like following a ball of energy that takes you to places that you really don't want to go that way, but you feel like you have to.
That's where you grow. That's where you grow, Lara. You know it.
You're being grabbed like a puppet. I am the puppet. I'm not in control.
Yeah. Where's okay? So next 5 years, you don't know where you're going, or you have something in your head or in your mind that you want to achieve with this concept of
I've got
this
something in
dream.
my mind, but again, it's also about exploring where is the place that I want to be as well. This is where I've always put my career first, and I always will. It's what makes me happy. But I'm learning the lesson. I've reached burnout, very big burnout last year, and for the first time this year, I took almost a month break, and I went to Thailand. And
That's
for me,
amazing.
I
That's
had
good.
just to give you an example of the burnout, I had a lump in my, it was caused by stress. It was getting bigger and bigger for 2 years. I was due a surgery when I was back. I went to take a break and it's completely gone. And it's a little lump, but it was just a reminder of the stress that we don't see. And how would we meant to deliver such a magical experience if we inside
Yeah.
can feel that?
Talking about burnout, you are an ambassador for the Burn Chef project, right?
Bunch of family.
How did that how did they approach you, or did you approach them?
Yeah, so no, he actually approached me, Chris Holt, incredible founder, beautiful man. He approached me right in the lockdown, actually. He wanted to do a photo shoot for the project. And I mean, when I found out of the project, I wanted to be part of the family. It's something I've always fought in the kitchens, you know? That's why I always say that I created a lot of dramas in kitchens because I love discipline. But when you cross the line of respect, and a lot of people, they fear to speak out loud, you know, because
Yeah.
it's got the establishment, it's got such a name, it's a stamp, and it maybe it's insecurities, I don't know, but it's I'll always love standing for other people and standing for myself, especially when you're working. You're like a car, right? If you don't have, if the car doesn't have any fuel, how are we going to keep going? And this is yeah, when I met Chris, it was, I think he only had about 6 ambassadors, and now I think it's about 200 ambassadors worldwide. So it's really incredible what he's doing. People really making changes.
So what do you do when you're part of the program? Do you try to promote the association? What is it? Is it a non-profit organization?
It's a non-profit organization, so charity. We like to mentor the young people, the people that are going to come in the industry. So we do a lot of college talks, a lot of conference. Um, the most random one I had from the Burn Chef, it was last year. I got asked to go to Lisbon to do a conference panel speaking in front of 600 guests for McDonald's franchises. Because they were doing, they really put a great, you know, it's such a taboo with McDonald's, but the systems they have in place for the people to give them an opportunity to train them, people that
Yeah.
were homeless before, and really it was incredible to see. So yeah, they just wanted to learn a bit about the process in the kitchen and how to create a healthy establishment.
Yeah. Amazing. I'll put the link of all their social and their website as well on a show note. I mean, they deserve to be around, and we need more of them. We need
We
more
need more.
ambassadors.
We need more, and now we got some in Japan as well. It's incredible how it's just evolved.
Did you work in one of these? How was the kitchen in London at the time? It was just before COVID, so I suppose it was maybe a little bit more human.
The world, yeah, that's it. After COVID, everything's changed, and
Yeah,
time seems to go very quick, very quick.
yeah. Let's get back to your project with the hourglass. I was just thinking because when I'm thinking about your project or your concept and what you're doing, is there a location in the world where you wish you could have? You mentioned Bangkok and you mentioned other places. Um, I don't know. I could see your project in a place like Burning Man or Vegas or
I mean, we'll get there step at a time, but I think definitely establish roots here and then evolve. But again, all my life, since I was young, I started working in the kitchen. Never really had any time for me, so it was always work, work, work. So I never traveled much until
yeah.
for the last 2 years is the first time I can manage to see the world through my work. So super grateful with that. So I'm still exploring. It's too early for me to say exactly which place, but one place I always had visions of has been Japan.
Yeah. Why?
Japan, there's something about Japan. I can't tell you why. Of course, the culinary scene is incredible, and I love the work ethos. But there is something about Japan. It's calling me. So
Have you
I'll just
been?
have to go. No, I'll have to go see, and then let you know if that
There
is
you
the.
go. Book the trip next year.
That's it. But again, with Euphoria, it wouldn't just be one. I like it to fit five maximum, dotted around the world. Never at the same time. You got simultaneous concepts going around. You got Seven Deadly Sins in Las Vegas, and you got the Hourglass in London. You know, and it's again simultaneous.
Yeah. So Lara, one of my questions was to ask you about circus and why you were so passionate, or why you were, always including this in your concept. But I think you answered that question. It's from your grandma.
From my grandma, and I always found performers fascinate me because a lot of them, especially working with them close, you see a different. It's a character, right? They're very introvert at first, and they go inwards, but when they perform and they just come out and they shine, and I just love that about humanity, really, when they just can be this other person that can really come out. And it's again just creating a bubble where we all bring in something together and we all have the same mission.
How big is your team now?
So we work a lot of freelancers, but 45 for production.
Okay, so every event you would have 45
No,
person
45.
in
No, we have about 20 working, but 45
with everyone around.
consultants coming, the roots, the behind the scenes that you don't see.
Yeah. So is it already possible to reserve for this year?
Not yet. You can be on the waiting list, but we're not taking tickets yet.
Okay.
But we got a nice waiting list.
So Lara, where you're based in London now,
It's London.
but you also travel to Ibiza, right? In the summer,
I
you're doing a
travel
bit of both.
a lot and do a lot of private dinners there. But it's sad every time I go to Ibiza now. It's really changed. It's good for business, but I feel a bit sad every time I go there. The Ibiza it was all about connection. And back in the 80s, you have a homeless person and a millionaire partying together, and that was the beauty of the island. Now
Yeah,
it's this fake luxury sort of market, and I don't like the separation and the ego when it comes to Ibiza. So I'm still discovering the new Ibiza.
yeah. Ibiza was, correct me if I'm wrong, but was it an island that was first not discovered, but that was quite popular with artists and this type of personalities, this type of people?
Artist, freedom, there was no ego, and that was the beauty of Ibiza. Before, to give you an example, we used to live in the middle of the forest. We lived the door open. It was just very hippie, very natural. You can't do that now. You will get robbed.
Yeah,
Again, that is changed a lot, but I have hope that one day it will evolve back to how it was.
yeah. They might go somewhere else.
We
you
might have
know?
to discover the new Ibiza.
Yeah, definitely. So you grew up around food. Was your parents or your family cooking a lot?
Always cooking. My mum always cooking a lot. My dad has two dishes that are very good.
Yeah,
But yeah, my mum always loved to cook. She loved to host. She loves to nurture. So yeah, I think I've always it's in
that's
there.
where it's from. That's where it's coming from, I guess.
But yeah, I always loved it. Always been very lucky to know that this is my playground.
Yeah. What's is there anything else you're working on the side, or are you only focused on your concept, your work today? Well, my question is basically, there's two questions. One is,
Sure.
do you have another something else in your head that you just plan to launch in the near future or in the future? And the second question is, are you always working?
I do always work. I'm not for that's the second one. On reverse answer. I
Of
don't
course
like
you are. Of course you are reversing.
always everything's on reverse and wonky. I don't like to stay still. I think again, I need to learn. This is something I need to learn to stay still. But I love a project and I love going into something else and bringing something to life and onto the next. So again, I am trying to teach myself to take that time off. Working on other projects has been incredible, really. How I've been doing a lot of creative consultancy, which is great. So not as much as the production side, but really delving deep into someone's vision. Been doing that for sort of resorts around the world, some
What do you
restaurants.
do for them, for example?
So, for example, menu creation. We'll create two signature dishes that brings a bit of play, that brings something else. Or I've had a lot of immersive experience that I do bespoke for. It can be an insurance company, but what is the story of that company? And we love to narrate, we love to storytell. So we've been doing a lot of that. And another one which I'm excited about, if you're here in June, you must come. We're collaborating with the West End for a big theatrical experience for Dita Von Teese, which is a show she's bringing to London. And it's really exciting. It's a big venue, proud and embankment, 16th of June, if you're here.
Okay, that's gonna be a lot of links I have to put on the
Yeah,
show notes.
fit them in. But yeah, that's great. So we're doing creative consultancy for them. Be about 150 covers, 400 people seeing the show. So it's a big volume.
Yeah. What do you think about the good old work-life balance?
Something I'm trying to learn. I think it's getting better. It's definitely getting better. But as I said, it's getting to an extreme now. That also people need to know that sometimes you need to stay an extra time if you got a function tomorrow. So it's always just got to balance it out. It's hard. It's really hard. It's a very hard industry. But I love it. So if I have to stay longer, I will. I dream about food, and I can't wait to get back in the kitchen. It's my medicine. So it's my happy place, and you can get in a flow state where I can't find anywhere else. But yeah, it's definitely very important to also take that time off. Like we were saying earlier, you don't see stress, but when it starts to show up, you can't work your 100%. Especially if it's your baby, it's your business, you need to be the core of that. You need to. You
You
know,
need to take care of yourself for sure.
yeah,
There's only one of you,
and your team, the most important thing.
and your
And this
team
is
too.
why,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of Michelin stars are very toxic. And you know, I this is why I never agreed with a lot of Michelin stars. If it's not a magical experience behind this at the back, it shouldn't have a Michelin star. You should start with that. That are the roots, you know, because you can taste that. You transmit when you're cooking. You transmit your energy into what you're cooking, and sometimes I can feel there's something not quite right. And but I think it's definitely changing. People being more aware. There's more communication. There's less ego, so that brings more communication with people feeling safe. It's a bit of a safe space now. So yeah, it's exciting where the industry is going. Let's see where it takes us.
That's the industry. What about the food? Do you feel like the food is changing since you started,
The
or do
food,
you want it to change?
I love it. It's like fashion, right? It just kind of goes into, it brings back to things from the 60s and then it comes
Yeah,
back.
it's true. It's true actually.
It's amazing. And I think
Shrimp
it,
cocktail. When is it coming back? What's
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah,
prediction?
yeah, exactly. This one I'm a bit sick of, but we can have a deconstructed one. But yeah, now I think it's people not just going playful and immersive, but they also bring back the basics. You know, there's a lot of chefs now that they don't even allow tweezers in the kitchen, which I love that as well. You know, it's back to
Come on,
feel.
tweezers.
I do like a tweezer, but let's feel.
Yeah, tweezers are. Yeah, they became very fashionable. Let's
Yeah,
put it this way. I
exactly.
worked in many kitchen with that you couldn't see any tweezers, to be honest. And
Yeah,
then somehow overnight, everyone had tweezers in their pocket or in their, on the side of their sleeve.
it's like fashion. It's what I say every time I see a mold, and everyone uses the same mold, like a leaf.
Yeah,
Everyone uses a leaf, you know, which is cool. It's fun. It's everyone just inspired from each other. But I think definitely now people want to go back to the roots, back to the basics. This is
yeah.
something you're probably in the food you may get with me, but maybe not with the with the presentation. But a lot
Do
of
you do a lot
people,
of molecular cuisine or a lot of this? Because
a bit.
you're talking about the show. You're talking about a lot of thing around how you present your food, how you feel it, how you interact with it. So
There's
you're playing
no.
with a lot of texture, I suppose, and a lot of
I love textures. You've got to have textures. Like, and you also, you always have to have a little bit of bitter, a little bit of sweet, a little bit. So it's like the ingredients marry each other, and that's what I love about cooking. But what I love about Euphoria is that again, it's never the same. So one day I can be fire cooking, again super basic, go everything with fire, no gadgets, which I love. The next day I'm making an edible Jenga, so it's a
edible
contrast.
Jenga.
Edible Jenga. I've been there.
Sounds good.
It was good. Besides, when this is a funny story for you, the waiter had to had to create like a box for the Jenga, which we didn't have. So we had built
Yeah.
the Jenga bit for it to carry to the table, and we measured it wrong. So we put the box, and it just broke the whole thing. This is 15 minutes before we have to serve. So it's us with the chefs with the needles creating this Jenga. So I have Jenga nightmares, but we managed to pull it off in the end. But this is what people need to see, the behind the scenes.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's fun. That's fun.
Honestly, the things we've seen in churches.
What's the craziest thing you've done during one of these special dinners?
Oh, well, I
Or
have
the
a,
hardest, the hardest.
the craziest. I would say the most random. It was when I did a dinner for this. They had the brief was a kink dinner,
Yeah,
so it was all around bondage, and then
yeah.
yeah, that was pretty fun. And then what was the other one? You said the most difficult experience. I'm not sure when it with the cooking, but when it comes to the event, it's probably that time the hardest day, and I don't know how we got to the end of the tunnel. It was when we did an event. It was very a vip event, and we did this beautiful church, again with beautiful spaces, old spaces. You need a lot of backup generators. So we only had one. This 15 minutes before the guests arrived, power cut. We didn't know what to do. We had literally untangling. It felt like we were juggling with the kitchen equipment, untangling cables, and somehow we had to delay it 10, 15 minutes. But I literally prayed for the first time, prayed to the church. We're
Or
making
you
this.
were in the church, so that was perfect.
It was a holy something in the church wanted us to make that happen. I said we're going to get to the Euphoria climax, which is the end of the experience. And at that point, I tell you, it just turned on. And for the whole service, you can imagine I have to brief 7 chefs. I've got three people on the mic. I've got the stage manager just sort of praying that this is going to be fine. And somehow we got to the end, but we were again untangling, plugging deep fryers, plugging it back in. So it was a push that service.
So what's your role during the whole experience? Are you mostly cooking? Are you mostly interacting with guests? Are you trying to do both? Are you more?
Now it's the power of delegation. This is something meeting my new business partner has been a blessing because every time he needs to remind me to take myself outside the box for the future, it has to
Yeah,
just,
that's how you're gonna grow the business.
that's it. But sorry.
Whoa.
Right, this is what people need to see again. Keep that
This
one.
is definitely staying in the in the podcast.
Keep that
So
one.
if you're listening, basically the whole, I don't know, like it looks like Lara just collapsed and the light too.
Or maybe it was a ball of energy taking me.
It was. It was.
It was.
So what are we talking about?
I forgot. Oh yes.
Yeah, can you remove yourself? Do you remove yourself from the? Do you see?
I removed myself
This is a reminder.
again. I love to do a lot of the cooking. I love to get involved in the prep. However, on the days of the show, I'm basically on the pass and I have to direct. So I'm coordinating with the stage manager. So it's all like a triangle, right? They're coordinating with the DJ, with the orchestra, what time everything coming, and I'm let them know what time everything's coming. So it's all just coordinating. But yeah, it's good to not be in the
Did you
sweat.
say? Did you say orchestra?
Orchestra. We got an orchestra, live
Yeah,
orchestra.
of course. Why would you have an iPod?
Exactly. I always thought it takes away. We worked with DJs before and we did all these voiceovers, but there's something about live
Live
performance,
music is just incredible.
live music. So imagine if one of the guests drops a fork, we do live effects. So we kind of we fuck with them a little bit.
Yeah.
We always, even when you go to the toilet, the door handle's on the other side. He just tries to. It's all these little games which I love. It's Easter eggs. You get a
Yeah.
lot of restaurants nowadays. They call it. I hate the word immersive because it's so misused. They put some projections. Immersive. This is not immersive. I like to take away that. This should be an extra. But this is why I'm really excited about this new concept because it's also going in one set location. So the setup, we can have much more liberty when it comes to that.
Yeah. Is there a chef that does what you're doing? Is there someone you admire that you kind of take inspiration from?
Many, many. I think a few of my favorite ones would be Heston Blumenthal, of course. I love his kindred spirit. I would say David Munoz as well. I love his brain and his determination, and
Spanish chef, right?
he never took no for an answer, and I love that. I love that fight, and this is where it's got him to where he needs to be. He's always kind of been rebellious and doing something different.
What kind of stuff does he do?
Never. He's just very playful, but very imaginative, and it kind of it goes that extra mile with things. I can't explain it. Sometimes I think in Spanish, by the way. So I have Spanish and English on the brain. But yeah, I've not been to his restaurant yet. But I remember just seeing one of his videos years ago when they're at the dinner table and they're eating, and butterflies comes out, and it's all this. He's a storyteller, and I love that about him. And then Granite Chats, I love from Alinea.
I was just thinking, as you said, butterfly coming out. I had in my head, I was like,
He is
I'm gonna ask you about Grant and Alinea because I think this is on the same level.
He's incredible. Again, I've never had the honor to go eat there yet, but it's on the list.
Do you know I was a bit of a starstruck because he actually followed me a few months ago on Instagram, and I was like, why? How?
Hey, why not? Why not? Of course.
Yeah.
Deserve to be fun.
Yeah. I'm gonna message him now.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, that happened to me with David Munoz, I must say.
Yeah.
He said I was a crack. I was like,
Yes.
someday I will manifest a little collaboration. It might take a while, but we'll get it. What were we saying?
David and Heston.
David Heston.
Any other chefs?
Grant, I love. Oh yeah, Jordi Roca. I love Jordi Roca.
Jordi Roca, yeah, he's very, very interesting guy.
He's playful. He's a genius.
Yeah.
And a lot of people underestimated him. Because when it comes to playful, humble, genuine, people take advantage of that. And he's just gone, well, let me show you what I'm made of. And I love that. And what I admired so much as well about Grant, when he had the throat cancer, he's lost his palate. Can you imagine that as a chef?
I know.
He drew how it's meant to taste everything.
And talking about the team support, I mean, his story. So we're talking about Grant Hatchets. I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
to say his name.
Adam,
In
Adam,
Chicago, right? Three
yeah,
Michelin star, Alinea. He was the top in the world for. And for the one that don't know, if you're watching or listening, I think he was diagnosed with, was it a throat cancer?
get throat cancer. Yeah.
So the first advice, or the few advices that he got first, was to basically cut off his tongue.
Wow.
And he didn't go through that because, long story short, he just found I think a university hospital that was trying something new, and he went with them. But still, for a long time, I think he was running his restaurant basically relying on his entire team, on his sous chef, on his head chef, and they kept the 3 stars, and they just kept going.
That's the
And
leader.
they,
He's
yeah,
the leader. But
yeah,
this is when you show respect, people will want to respect you. They will want to deliver that vision as much as possible. Because if you're treating the shoe staff like shit, do you think they're gonna want to cook nice food for your
no,
product?
they won't. They don't want. No, they will never do that.
Exactly. This is why it says everything, right? It's like, for example, Adam Handlin, another chef. I love what he does, and the way he treats the team. His team have been together for 10 years. You know, it says everything.
Yeah, yeah. If you can keep your staff, it says a lot about yourself, about your how you
Yeah.
run your team and how you run your business as well. Is there any food, any trend, Lara, that you see nowadays? I mean, you mentioned the tuile and the little
The little
leaf
twirl.
shaped. Uh, anything else that slightly piss you off?
I slightly pissed me off. Ah, you know, I hate the mapping on the table. You know when you get the projections on the table, but it's just
This is like, it looks like, honestly, it's not that
looks
old, but it
like
looks like it's something from the 60s, even though they didn't have that.
there's something about it really pisses me off because you're playing it. Why are you giving technology as well this so
Yeah,
much?
just let me watch my phone.
Yeah, so I think that is what really triggers me. What other things piss me off? There's a few. No, but I do love as well
This is
when
a safe space. You can go on.
yeah, which is censored. You need to put subtitles. But yeah, no, I love what I do love. Let's think positive or what's coming out. I love people breaking the rules a bit and just being themselves and showcasing that in the plate. There's no right or wrong way, of course, as long as you treat the material, the ingredient with respect, and you put love into that. I think create whatever you want, and that's the beauty, you know. There's no right
Yeah.
or wrong. Play with your food if you want.
So where do you go out in London to eat now? Like, is there any places that you love going back? Because
And
it's funny how sometimes chefs are working, into a very difficult, very strict environment, and the place they love to go to is almost the opposite of that.
no, no, I was just going to tell you the complete honest, which is I don't do enough of that. All
Yeah,
my funds go straight to the company. So it's been a lot. It's one of the most important things to do is go to eat at restaurants,
yeah,
see it from the other side. But, when you're in these, you have to also prioritize. But I've been not just it's a Michelin stars, but what I love is I love local street food. I love going really like, for example, with my travels in Thailand or in India. I love food from the grandmother in the street that just cooks with their hands, and I love that kind of food. It's
I mean, Thailand is one of the best country to go as a chef, I feel.
I
um
got so
any
spoiled.
chef that hasn't been needs to go there. It's like
Incredible.
like a
It gives the
passage,
soul.
rite of passage. You have to go there to learn different technique, different way of cooking. Especially, I mean, from me as
In
an
the
ex chef, French chef with like very traditional French techniques, which takes days and days to prepare.
yeah,
And then you go to Thailand, and it's like they just flip a switch, and
yeah.
everything is done in like 3 minutes, and you're like, what? And it tastes
It's
amazing.
incredible. And I love the bamboo cooking. We did a bit of that underground cooking, and just what I want to now evolve more is the ancient cooking techniques. I've got
Yeah.
an interesting concept, which is a journey of time, and it sort of all moves around and we eat from ancient times to the future. So that's one thing I want to explore a bit more. But yeah, that's what I love. All these different. This is what my food has always been. I hate the word fusion as well. I'll say the world has so much flavor to offer. I like
Well,
to.
fusion is not valid anymore because everything is fusion. I mean, we have access to everything, so everything and anything is fusion. So you can't really label a restaurant fusion.
Exactly. So I just like to say that I like to pick and point different cultures, different flavors, and just combine them all. It's like music, right? Why should you have a favorite type of music? You can have
Yeah, 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 exactly. It's like, as a chef,
more.
what's your favorite dish to cook? There isn't. I just like to
I
cook
think it's the
everything
worst
I just feel
question.
like.
Do you think I want to cook the same bloody dish every day?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, ask someone that is not a professional chef. I was gonna say something else, but
Generally, the
and then
question.
they will tell you what their favorite dish, because they probably have like 3 dishes that they can cook.
Uh, the egg yolk ravioli. That's the classic one. People.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not?
That's it.
Where do you think the where do you see the future of food going? Is this something you want to see, or is this something
I
you
hope it
worry
goes
about?
like I hope it goes to again. I love that sustainability now is the key force. I mean, this should always be like that. I think just people need to respect the ingredient a bit more. You know, a lot of places I've worked, the worst one was once, for example, just to give you an example on the waste. It's a Michelin star as well. I went to the food waste to throw something, and I saw I can't remember how many kilos of lobster claws unopened just there because a lazy chef just needed the middle bit, the tail bit, and they just threw. So this happens
Yeah,
everywhere. So I really hope we can get to a point where we all start really growing our own produce, respecting our produce. You know, I love going on foraging trips because from that you really respect it. You know, the
yeah.
micro herbs. You really respect the mushroom. You know, but it's I see a lot of people they get the panel of the micro herbs. They use a bit, throw it away, leave it out. There's no I think what people really need to experience from the beginning to the end to really appreciate the mother nature and yeah, I hope we can just be more sustainable with everything we do and even the plastic. You know, I use a ton of piping bags and every time it breaks me, it's like how do we get out there? That's what I hope it just changes. We need
It's
to
a good
find a
point. The
better way.
plastic. I had a thought 2 days ago, Lara, because as a chef, like the cling film, the cling wrap that you use,
Mhm.
it's something that you cannot live without because it does preserve food and it protects from contamination and whatnot. But I feel like in a few years we're gonna find out that this thing is terrible for our health
But this is
and the
I'm not
environment.
and funny you say that. I had an incredible meeting. Maybe we can put a link down there with this
Another
company.
link.
Yeah.
There will be 625 links. So good luck.
Yeah. We'll put another link. Go down below. But it's incredible people. I've started this cling film, which is completely sustainable, and they gave me a whole brick. I was there for 2 hours, and it's making mind blown that the effects that it has, the cancer that you can get from all the microplastics, and
And
terrible.
like microwaves are okay, they're not great. They do a trick, they do a job, they do a job. But quite
Radioactive.
often we use this plastic film in a microwave as well,
Yeah.
which turns it into, probably something very hurtful for our health.
Radioactive. There needs to be a way that the business doesn't suffer because, of course, we there is alternatives, but those alternatives are very expensive. So, is where does that support come from? You know, for establishments because we want to do good, but that's going to cost us times 20. So, it's how do we get the numbers right, but also do good for the planet? You know, and I think that's where all of our chefs need to unlearn what we've learned with certain things and just this is what I loved about Thailand as well. There's two things I love about Thailand. They don't use the plastic with things, but then they use so much plastic for anything for everything else, which makes no sense. In the kitchen, you don't use much plastic, but for everything else. So yeah, it's just learning, right?
Yeah. So what's the let's get back to your clients that visit your experience. What kind of clients are they?
Well, they're very, I would say, VIP high end clients, but very playful, very extravagant. And I love with my experiences I've had in the past as well. People that really have a name and they don't want to let go at the beginning. They're my favorite people because we kind of push them. We make you uncomfortable to then let go and be comfortable. You know, for you to let go, there must be some challenges, some breakthroughs to go. And but yeah, we get all sorts people that love to play. They're all kids at heart. You see them all wearing suits, but you can really tell you got a toddler waiting to come out, you know. And it's beautiful because it really takes out all that from the guests, you know. A lot of guests come from the corporate world and they're not allowed. They need to behave a certain way. And I think it's a safe space to really be yourself. There's no judgment. Come as you are, you know. Get involved, get messy. So it's
Yeah. And how do you what do you want them to feel when they come to your experience, or how do you want them to leave? Like, is it because it's great to go to a restaurant and eat well and be
it needs to
quite
be
satisfied and
memorable.
happy, but I feel like your experience is more because you're playing with senses and emotions.
It's a lot of, especially with the hourglass. I want them to come out and the hourglass is all about valuing time and the amount of time we will represent the amount of time that we waste thinking on minor things. You know, it's all about deconstructing the human conditioning, our performance, the different archetypes of persons. So I want them to go through a bit of a ride of emotions. You're gonna, I think, for a good story from a theatre perspective, this also have to have that emotional touch. You know, yeah, the sadness, that's happiness. I wanted to come out like, wow, I've learned something today, and just reflect a little bit, but also have a great time, have fun. You got the absurdity, you got the fantasy, but let's show, some other emotions. And I want them to connect. I loved with my experiences. If you come as a group of friends, sometimes I love to disconnect you and sit you in the opposite time. So that pushes you to create new connections. And I've had people that I've met in my experience, and then they became really good friends after, or they've actually, funny story, one that came from I think it was California, and the other one from London. They ended up completely different guests. They ended up being cousins, and they found
Yeah,
out. So there was something about this connection that you couldn't.
magic.
I love it, and it really is about connecting, experiencing, and just really letting go and being yourself, and eating really good food. Mostly.
Yeah. Who do you wish would come to your event? Is there like a table of like 4 to 6 people that you're like, I'd like to have them here? I mean, you said Tim Burton, but
Yeah, Tim Burton will be good. I think we'll manifest his show.
that's twice
I
that's
mean,
twice we say his name. He's gonna come now.
I would love to cook with David Munoz. I think he's one that I think, yeah, I'll push for that one. I love to do the playful collaborations. And yeah, I still need to have my mentor, John Williams, on the dinner table. And I think that would be the most scary guest I could ever have, because I owe him so much, and for him, I just want him to have a magical experience.
Are you a musician as well?
No, my father is. So I've got musicians in the family. I like singing, but I like feeling. I like piano but I don't read notes or anything. I just love to just feel. But I like painting. That's my thing.
It's one of your things.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. When I have too much time off.
Yeah, yeah. Once I'm done with my 17 hours day, I just like to spend 6 hours painting at home. You said John Williams is your mentor. So
It's my mentor in the Ritz.
he's a musician, right? He's a composer.
No, no, he's actually the executive chef from the Ritz. But there's someone else.
Oh, the other one. The other one.
He's a composer of an orchestra. Yeah, he is. The Brigade is like an orchestra. So
It
yeah,
is. It is.
let's give him
Absolutely.
that. Yeah, I've always looked up to him. He's very old school, so I can't wait to to have him my experience and break any of his comfort zones that he's ever had.
Well, there you go. It's already a table of 3 or 4 now.
That's it. He'll be in for the next one.
Lara, is there any restaurant you want to go not to eat but to work at, or do you still
Well,
try to do internships or
Well, I was
four hands
looking
dinner?
to collaborate. I'd love to collaborate. One of the sous chefs from Alchemist sort of dropped me a message. He invited me as a guest, but I want to come and cook with them. So let's see. Maybe that's on the books. See where that goes. But I love what Rasmus is doing. Again, activism through food. That's what it's got a touch of euphoria in there. That's what everything's got a meaning. Everything makes it thought provoking and it makes you uncomfortable, but to make you comfortable after. And you're learning, you're taking away.
Do you know Gagan in Bangkok?
I love Gangan. I've not been, but yeah.
I have. If you want, I'm in touch with his executive chef.
Wonderful.
I had him on the podcast before. Maybe you guys should collaborate.
Maybe, yeah, maybe it is on the books. Maybe we should go eat there as well. Have a day
Yeah.
off.
Well, make that a week. Make that a week, because if you got to fly to Thailand,
That's it. But yeah, Gagan, again, a child inside, but genius. And that
yeah, I remember his menu was when I was there in 2016. I think it was 2016. Yeah, his menu was just a one page, so like half a page, and it's just a series of emojis.
yeah. And even
That
the
was so cool.
it says lick me, right? And just
Yeah,
lick.
yeah.
That's what, again, you're taking the make of this high end, but you're to the most beautiful way, and that's what I love about these minds. It's really pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
Being outside the box is so important.
Where do you get your inspiration from?
I love going to galleries. Again, depends. It can be anything, but I love really dwelling deeper conversations. If it's for a project, for a person, I want to know about their life. I want to know what brings out all the emotions, the good, the bad. And it's kind of, for me, instead, I work a lot in reverse. So instead of creating a dish and then creating the crockery or everything around it, it's like, I create the story, and then I create, where's that come from? Where's that ingredient from? How we touch that emotion to this dish, and it's kind of working in reverse, and then I will create the dish to go with it.
I had a bit of this as well when I was cooking, a lot more than now, because obviously now I don't cook so much. But I was
Why
really,
is
my brain is working in colors. I would like
that?
think of a dish in a color and like
Mm,
make it work with, and somehow
I love
everything of the same color would work with it. I don't know if it's because
yeah,
it does or because I made it work, but it was very interesting.
you just feel as well, right? You just kind of feel sometimes when you don't even try your dishes first, but you just know, okay, this element will go well with this and this, and yeah, it's mesmerizing cooking.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier, I was asking you like, do you have any other project that you haven't mentioned? Is
I've
there
got
anything
some, but
else,
I can't really
or is
say
there
much.
many things?
It's kind of NDA, so I can't say much, but tune in and find out. It's
Awesome,
exciting.
awesome. I look forward to it, Lara.
Now, I look forward to having you there. Come and play.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, remember you got to send me all these links, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I can put them.
Put me to work.
Yeah, Lara, thank you so much for taking the time.
The pleasure, Chris.
It was a pleasure to have you. I'm very happy we could chat
Me
for
too.
a little bit, almost an
Look
hour.
forward to chatting in for coffee in flesh.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. That
Yeah.
would be awesome. I'm based in Mallorca, so if you go
Oh
back to
yeah,
Ibiza,
Mallorca, of course.
yeah,
See you
we're
back.
just a little flight away. So
Okay, not too bad. So what are you doing now then? You still chefing? Or your
no,
place?
now I run Montclair Chef. Now
Yeah.
what we do is I
Cool.
basically I use my connections, my network, and I find people to work as private chef on boats or in residences.
Amazing. The connector.
Exactly, because I have a lot of connection in a Michelin-star restaurant. A lot of people that I know that work on boat. A lot of because I spent almost 20 years on boats,
Hmm.
almost. So the people that I started my career with, they're now captains. Like I
Okay.
started with deckhands and younger people that now are still in the industry 15 plus years, and now they're the leader. They're one in charge. So I get a call every day. Hey, can you find me a chef? Can you find me a sous chef?
Yeah,
So that's
that's
what
a
I do.
good
I'm
thing to
still in the
together.
industry, but I'm cooking a lot less.
You made a wise decision. I think sometimes that's where it needs to go, right? To keep it really sustainable.
Yeah, and I've done my share. I've done 25 years, so I
You
leave the spot for someone else to do.
And how was your experience working in yachts? I'm going to interview you now.
Yeah, go for it, go for it. No, it was awesome. Look, the yachting industry is incredible because, but there's two sides to it. There's also a side that you're gonna hate, which is the waste, because
Hmm.
a super yacht is everything,
Can
anything but
imagine.
environmental friendly, and there's a lot of waste in the food, in everything. It's just
Mm,
a lot of waste. But
yeah.
apart from that, it's you create and you work in a very very high environment where there is
Mm,
almost no limit. And what
yeah.
comes with this is good and bad. There's no limit in what you spend and you waste, but there's also no limit in what you can create, the
Mm,
equipment you can get as a chef, the produce you can get, what you can create for the
yeah.
guests as well, the experience. Like you can get the best of everything. If
Mm,
at the end you create something for the owners or for the guests that they really enjoy, you have carte blanche. You can do whatever you
yeah.
want.
Yeah. Yeah. And how about the space limitations?
Well, look, it's the same. There is a wide variety. I can tell you that some kitchen in on boats are, there is many restaurants here in Mallorca that have smaller
Mm,
kitchen, and
yeah. You
and
make
there
it
is a
happen.
lot of yachts that have massive kitchens. I'm
Yeah, that's
telling you, like some of these
extra,
kitchens, they're
right?
bigger than the whole restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah. You always just make it happen.
Yeah,
Support
yeah, yeah.
chefs.
No, no, but it's a good working environment. Obviously, the wages are a lot higher on yachts than they are in restaurant, but also the downside to this is they take you away from home, so
Yeah.
you know you're
See, I
gonna be
was
on
you do
on.
yachts, but I couldn't because I get boat sick. I get really sick on the boats.
But Lara, the funny thing is you don't, honestly, out of 100% of the time you're on board, the time where you're gonna be at sea, that is gonna be bad weather and you're gonna be cruising, is minimum, because
Mm,
most of this big yacht, as soon as there's a bit of wind, a bit of rain, a bit of wave, they're gonna hide. They're gonna go in the next port and they're
yeah,
gonna drop
yeah,
anchor, or they're gonna hide the boat and they're gonna cross later when it's a bit more quiet. The only thing is, if you're crossing the Atlantic, well, you're in the middle of the Atlantic, you gotta go. But again, you can change course to minimize the effect of the weather on the boat.
no, I love it. It's another world completely.
It is. It's another world, and it's an incredible world if you know what you're there for and you know what you lose by doing it. Because, like I said, the time
Mm,
you're spending there,
lonely,
no matter how much they're paying you, you're not home. So you
yeah,
cannot go. to the gym. You cannot have your hobby. You cannot see your family or your partner or your friends. So it's a
No,
different world, but it's an amazing playground for chefs.
yeah,
If you can make it and if you can stay there, you're gonna develop so much skills that are very valuable for later in your
mm.
career.
Well, congratulations on your journey as well. It's incredible to see where you come.
Still going,
We're
Lara.
doing it. That's it. We got time. We got time. Chris, what a pleasure. Really. Un placer
Yeah,
conocer.
thank you so much, Lara.
Thank you. Hope to see you in Mallorca.
Maybe.